Hi guys, this is Tanesh Mendru. Welcome to the Fansplay podcast. As promised, we have two special guests today, Megan and Ryler. Megan and Ryler are two of the top pros in the world, and I'm just gonna kind of let them take over and tell them your story.
So I'll take over. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, obviously, thank you so much for having us on. Super excited to talk about our origin story of pickleball. I'm going to let Rylan start because his memory is way worse. I'm going to let him start it, and I'm going to fill in all the gaps.
The first time I played pickleball was before her. I don't know if you remember that, but I was a college coach. Well, I grew up playing tennis, like all these people that are playing pickleball now. We played college tennis at University of Illinois, and then I played professionally for about 6 years. And then I was a college coach after that. We also did a junior academy for a few years coaching, but then I became the college coach at Alabama, University of Alabama. And I was actually doing a recruiting trip over at IMG in Bradenton, Florida. And there was a college coach there. I think I don't remember which coach where school he was at that time, but his father-in-law played pickleball. And at their apartment complex, they had like 2 pickleball courts. And they always invited the coaches to come, like during that week, come and play pickleball. And like I had never seen this sport before, so I went out there. Like I didn't even come to the net. I was like hitting ground strokes, like messing around. I didn't know how to play. Yeah, so like that was the first time I played pickleball. That was probably, I want to say it was like 10 years ago. Yeah, but I had no idea what the sport was, and I did that every year for like a few. I went out there a couple times during that tournament when I was recruiting there. When I was a college coach, and would play pickleball. But that was my only exposure to the sport.
And this was just for like exercise and like competitive outlets
just
for the
fun.
coaches to get together. Sometimes they played like ultimate frisbee or they played pickup basketball. And basically Tanner who was in Florida,
it was Tanner Stump.
He was like, "Hey, come do this pickleball thing," and we're like, "What is that?"
Yeah,
like,
you didn't play though, right?
But I didn't at that time. But
so that was the first time I played pickleball, and then during COVID. I was a coach at USTA, national coach at USTA, doing tennis still, and then COVID hit, and the lockdowns. Obviously, it wasn't as bad in Florida, but they still had us on lockdown. And during that time when it was bad, they really didn't want people to do anything, and so we were kind of stuck at home. I was doing virtual coaching, and we saw some stuff on the internet. I think on Instagram, I don't know, people playing the sport called pickleball again, and I was like, oh, pickleball. So Megan was like, well, why don't we try it? So we we did a court in our driveway, like a mini pickleball court, and we started playing, and I guess the rest is history. We played, or you can tell more, we played our first tournament. I think we played like 4 or 5, and it was at USTA headquarters, which was kind of cool because I was working there. It was after I was done, I think. But we started learning how to play the game like actually the right way. We were probably still banging the ball too much, but we ended up somehow winning this 4 or 5 tournament, and we played on the other side of where the pros were playing. It was a PPA, yeah, and so like Tyson McGuffin, Ben Johns, these guys were playing over on the other side, and I remember going over there watching them, and I was like, wow, okay, these guys are good, and that was kind of the first time I was like, okay, this is a legit sport, and that's when I, at least personally, got the bug to like say, I kind of want to try to do this at a higher level and see if I can maybe play with those guys,
So what was that one moment where you thought, okay, now I'm going pro, or I want to do this full time?
It took way longer than that because Ryler, when we first started 3 years ago, actually like playing legit, like practicing every day or every other day with friends. Yeah, for us to actually commit to playing pro pickleball, it took a lot longer for Ryler. Like, Ryler's identity relied on being a tennis player. Like, the minute, like when he was 3 or 4, he started playing tennis, and having been a college player, a pro tennis player, like, he had a very hard time stepping away and being like, I'm no longer a tennis player, you're saying? I'm a pickleball person? Like, that's just weird. For me, it was a little bit sooner. I was actually able to lay the tennis racket away as soon as I started competing in pickleball. I just felt like it replaced it so instantly and so smoothly. And I just enjoyed the game so much. It was so addicting. I was so eager to get better. I was like, I'm not losing at this, or I'm not losing to these old men, because when we first started, it was like, we're not old enough to play pickleball. We're not retirees. We're, in our 30s and have 2 kids. We should be playing pickleball. And pickleball just kept on being brought up around us in our environment, whether it was on social media or our friends, and we just felt like it was like calling us. It was like, pickleball, come to us. And so we finally caved, and we're like, okay, fine, we'll give this thing a try. And yeah, we just went out to one of the clubs and offered pickleball with like open play. A bunch of people were out there. We put our paddle in. We had no idea what we were doing. They kept on telling people, paddle in, it'll be next game up. And we went out, and I think we got killed in the first game. Like 2 old guys in their 70s. And we're like, what has happened?
Exactly.
But that actually became like the intrigue of the game. Like, it was like, how can we lose against these guys that don't look athletic? And we're definitely like half their age. And
Somehow.
we're athletic, like, and we were former really good tennis players, and somehow they're beating us. And we're like, okay, we got to figure this game out. Like, it looks so easy, but it's not easy. So we like kept on coming back to want more and to learn more and to like figure this mystery out about this game. And it was fascinating to me. I have a very obsessive personality, like Ryler probably will agree with. And so I became very obsessed, and I would watch YouTube videos, and I would like watch players, and I would start watching a lot of the pro players and be like, okay, what do they have that we can't do, you know?
Sure.
And so yeah, it just became this journey of the learning the sport and challenging ourselves. And so it took not till like 2 years ago where Ryler finally was like, okay, I'm a pickleball player. I will do this full time. And we got on the road. We bought an RV. And so we live full time in a mobile home.
Great.
And it's not small. It's pretty big. We upgraded it as well last year.
Feet.
It's 40 feet long.
We have 2 dogs and
2
our
dogs.
2
Oh, wow.
children are 7 and 9, and they
Yeah.
play.
So
Quite
tell me,
cool.
what was the decision behind getting the RV? And you guys were like, okay, we're gonna sell the house, we're gonna go to the RV, we're gonna travel and play professional pickleball.
Yeah, so we had been playing tournaments for about 8 months at that point, and it was becoming a very tiring journey, like tiring the travel part. We loved playing and competing at tournaments, and we wanted to do more of that, but the travel in between, it was like, we get there on Wednesday, we compete Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we try and get on a flight Sunday night, most of the time it's Monday morning to try and fly back to Florida. And then we had like a day of laundry and recovery, and then Tuesday was training, and then Wednesday we're back on the road to go to the next tournament. And I just felt like it was just so much effort of getting back. It was like, missed flights, packing, which we hate packing, bags and everything, and just the travel component was tiring. And then with 2 young kids who, are eager to follow us around, and we don't have any family support around us. So they were on the journey with us. We just felt like we were not creating a lot of stability for them. And so like, okay, what are some options here if this is what we want to do?
Sure.
And the RV situation just came along. RV was, we're not RV kind of people. Like, while, we don't have to have anything super fancy, but we don't know how to fix anything. So it was like, okay, can we do this RV thing? And we're like, hey, why don't we just try it? And that was March last year. So we literally gave up our house, and I had Salvation Army come take all our furniture and donated it to the organization so someone else can use it. And we got on the road, and we just started traveling. And I feel like it's been a whirlwind of things breaking, us not fixing them, just trying to figure life out. But we get to continue the journey rather than trying to come back to a spot. We go from one tournament, park the RV, train, compete, sleep in our own bed, eat our food in our kitchen. The kids get to like be in their bunk beds and have their toys, and create this like stability while our life and our tour stops keep changing. Whether we're in Boston, New York, California, Florida, Chicago, St. Louis, like, we've been everywhere, but we get to have the home with us.
Okay, guys, so tell me how Franklin came about. What's the story behind that? What did you guys think when you were signing with them? Why did you sign with them?
Yeah, well, as we said, we kind of started the pickleball thing for real about 3 years ago. We were with another company for 3 years, and when we first started, we started that company through a woman that we met, and we're not the kind of people that are like reaching out and doing all this stuff. So it was kind of them coming to us. and we're very loyal. So we were with this company for 3 years. So switching to a different company was very difficult for us. And we said that it was going to have to be something that was super special, like a unique opportunity for our family. And I think that's exactly what Franklin was. So that's why we decided to sign with them. I think it was just a really, their company is very family oriented, which I think was perfect for us. Being a family, as we said, our 2 kids are playing now. They play 3-0. They're 7 and 9. And I think, as their dad and coach, I'm biased, but I think they have a lot of potential to be really good players as well. So it's, a family affair. We're traveling, doing it all together. So I think that was appealing to both Franklin and to us to be with a company like Franklin that's a family-owned thing. And they've been doing it for a long time, and now they're really big in pickleball. I think the other main reason we did it was they have a real international vision. Megan is from Germany. Her father is from New Zealand originally, and mom is from England, as I said. So it's kind of, I grew up in Tampa, but I was born in Hawaii, which is not international, but it feels like it is. And I traveled a lot for playing pro tennis as well. Been to 35, 40 countries. So I think it for us, like, we see it as bigger than just the U.S. We don't kind of wanted to get out of that bubble. We still want to play in the U.S. We still want to compete and all that. But I think, like, being a part of the spread of global pickleball and just seeing it go internationally like it is now in India, seeing the popularity here, I think that was something that was really important for us and our family. And I think Franklin shared that same vision. So that was a big thing for us as well.
So one thing that I was recently told, that sport is one of the things that you can describe as global by default, right? And I think that's exactly what pickleball is. Pickleball is such a big community, and anywhere you go in the world, you find like-minded people. You can have fun with them, you can play with them, they don't judge you. And pickleball is such an interesting sport that way because the social environment that it provides, right, no matter where you are in the world, is absolutely immense. Right, and you guys have been traveling quite a bit. This is your 2nd time in India, so welcome back. And then you guys have a trip coming to China and a couple of other places. So tell me, what was your, like you said, you want to be global, right? Like, you want to see, so how did that vision came along? Where did you think that, okay, this is where we fit in, or this is how we want to grow the sport globally?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things is that we just love the sport so much, and we'd love to, and the impact the sport has had on us personally as well. We just want to share that joy, and I feel like in America we've embraced it so much, and it's like, why would we not take this globally? Why would we not invite more people to this game and help it spread? And that was honestly one of the big, as Ryler said, a big part of the Franklin idea is like, they are such pioneers in the sport. They've led the way, and we're like, okay, we want to be on board this train with you. Like, let's do it together. Like, how can we help you on this international front? Yeah, I mean, it's just such a phenomenal sport of meeting people. A perfect example was in February when we came over for the first Indian Open. Lily, my daughter, she's 9. She was super nervous. She's like more of my timid child. And we landed, and there was some a little bit of controversy when we landed, and she felt very uneasy, and she was just not being herself. And come next morning, what do? We have to go to the pickleball court, and she goes out and grabs a paddle, and she starts hitting, and you instantly see her relieved. She's back to being Lily again, and because pickleball is that familiarity, it's like that comfort zone. It's like that brings her joy, and brings us all joy. And it's like, no matter where we are in the world, whether we are in England and London, or whether we're in Florida, Naples, or whether we are in Mumbai, India, like when they play pickleball, they feel comfort. Even JR this weekend, he made a bunch of friends. Like, he does not speak the same language as these little boys, and they had nothing to say, but they were like, "You want to play pickleball? Doubles? And off they went. And so it just, that stuff is just so special, and we get to do it as a family together. And I think the message of that this can be a sport for all generations. We just keep the journey going.
So guys, before we end the podcast, I have one more question for you guys. In a country like India, pickleball is not a sport that's, people really look at it as a sport. It's more look like a game, a recreational game. Whereas when you look at a tennis, parents would still want their child to play a tennis or a soccer as compared to a pickleball. So somebody who's already done it, somebody who's already had the higher stage, what message do you have for them, and what aspiration can you give them to be actually doing something like pickleball?
No, we're big advocates that it looks easy. It's easy to start, but it's very hard to master this sport. And we're huge advocates of getting youth pickleball going, that kids should be starting with pickleball. It is easier than tennis to get them started and get them intrigued by this sport and actually be competing at an instant. You know, like they learn how to tap the ball over the net. That's a serve. You're in. Like, let's play. So like you're getting them into this competitive pathway way sooner, and you make them feel like athletic, and you make them feel that they're on this journey and have a feeling of success so much sooner than in tennis.
Although from a parent's perspective, that could be like, and I'm saying from an Indian parent's perspective, that's something that's too easy, right? That's not something that's challenging. So it's not challenging their kids. So they're like,
but that is just the beginning, right? That's just
Yeah.
the start. And I think as the journey here in India continues and the growth and the knowledge about their top players and the top players worldwide becomes more knowledge, you know, people figure out how to watch them on TV or watch them on YouTube and see that there actually is a pathway. In college tennis right now is happening, and people were like, well, we're going to learn to play tennis so we can get a scholarship to go to play in America. Well, guess what? Pickleball scholarships are here. This was the first season right now is with scholarships on the line, and collegiate events are happening. So for parents, like the message for you is, you know, your kid could play college pickleball one day, and so get them started now because the wave is coming, and it's a phenomenal time to get into the sport and fall in love with the sport. And yes, it's easy to start and it looks easy on the outside, but there's a lot of technique and a lot of different shots to learn, and it's physically very tiring too. And we work out a lot. I'm in the gym most every other day, and it's more to the game than you think. And so that's why I passed to him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I started playing tennis when I was 6 years old. Like I said, I played college tennis, I played pro tennis. Like Carlito said when he won the French Open, like you have to embrace the suffering. Tennis is a super physical, tough sport. I think we should respect all sports. I think the issue is, like, humans were very, like, traditionalist, right? And probably, like, in this country the same. It's like tennis has a rich tradition, right? Like in the US, baseball has a rich tradition. Golf has a rich, cricket here, obviously, rich tradition. Golf has a rich tradition around the world. But, like, if we're looking at this stuff objectively, I'm a very objective thinker. I like to use common sense. I like to think about, like, step outside the box and let's forget about tradition and let's look at what the sport is, right? Number one, it's obviously a sport. When people say it's a game, I'm like, you're a moron, because like the other day I looked up the definition of a sport is the number one thing. Go look it up. Google it. Look it up.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT is a great tool now. I put it in the other day. The definition of a sport, number one thing that comes up is, guess what? It starts with a P. Physical exertion. Physical exertion, okay? So pickleball, I mean, if you're out there, like we were out there today in the heat, battling, playing pickleball, I'm sweating a ton. I'm burning like over 1,000 calories in like 2 hours. I mean, it's extremely tough. If you're playing it like, you know, you're just poking the ball around, you're obviously not gonna get a workout, but it's the same with any sport. If you're poking the ball around tennis, you're not gonna get a workout. But if you're doing it and you're getting better and you're playing it at a high level, it's a really good workout, and it's 100% a sport. I mean, anybody that says it's not a sport is just, it's laughable to me, because
As a past tennis player, right? As a past tennis player, because it was a tough adjustment for you as well coming in, because just as my first reaction was what is this, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure that was your first reaction. So a lot of the people that are coming from tennis, right, or see this sport and they're like, we play tennis, we don't play pickleball. What advice do you have for them?
You should ask Ryler about one of his shirts that he has. What does it say?
yeah, it was like if somebody, one of my friends got me a shirt that said like, if tennis was easy, it'd be called pickleball or something, which is funny. Look, I was the same way. Like, look, I think again, humans, this is our problem. We are like too traditional. We have too much pride.
Yeah.
And these tennis players, like I was a tennis player. Look, I was top 200 in the world, but I'm telling the tennis players right now, like, you got to be more open-minded, and you got to look at the sport and say, go out there and play it. Is it fun? Like, you can still play tennis. I was playing tennis and pickleball for a while, and I was the same way. I was like, oh, this pickleball thing, I mean, it's kind of like a hobby. It's super fun. And then the more I played the better I got, and it became a challenge to get better and better. And then now the pro sport, it's like more of a legitimate pro sport.
Correct.
And I think it's spreading all over the world. And I think people just need to give it more of a chance, and they need to look at it as it is a sport. I mean, the bottom line is don't like insult a sport just because it doesn't have the tradition behind it, right? I think the biggest thing that I don't like hearing is like, pickleball's a game, it's not a sport. I'm just always like, really? Like, so let's look up the definition of a sport, and we did that with ChatGPT. And I mean, ChatGPT is the authority on everything. AI is going to just completely take over the world soon. And it says a sport is an organized physical activity or game that involves competition, skill, and physical exertion. Sports are typically governed by a set of rules or customs that can be played individually. They improve physical fitness, provide entertainment, and promote social interaction. It has examples of sports. But I think like if you look at pickleball, like it has all those and more. I mean, it's the definition. Yeah, exactly. It checks all the boxes. Yeah. And I think we'll stay positive here. I'm not going to like attack other sports, but you hear it all the time, like it's not a sport, and I'm just like, guys, like it's obviously a sport. Like let's look at it objectively. Let's take the ego out of it and try the sport. Like get out there and play. Like it's an awesome sport. It brings people together.
I think that's what it is. You hit the nail on the hammer. Like come out and try it.
Yeah, try it.
I think that's what the journey was for me. Like I was all tennis, right? Tennis player, running a tennis club. So that was the thing for me. But as soon as I went the first day, I couldn't stop. The first day I played was 6 hours, right? And I think where a lot of contention comes from people with that sport is that, okay, the people are having too much fun, so it's not really a sport. But there's more people, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like there's more success to be had in pickleball as compared to a tennis. Because like I think we all come from a tennis background, and we know that tennis has been there for a long time, but you've been top 200 in the world. And from a monetary perspective, right, I think it's a lot different.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, well, Megan knows, she was there on tour with me. I mean, I think you can talk about how much more success we've had financially in pickleball than I ever did in tennis.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Ryler played 6 years of pro tennis, like around the world. Obviously, traveling was super expensive. He got to play in all 4 Grand Slams. He played second round US Open, Arthur Ashe against Rafa Nadal. Obviously, that was one of his biggest matches ever. And what did he walk away with? He walked away with $36,000 at the time.
That was my biggest payday by far, though.
Biggest payday, and obviously that's a huge amount. You hear that, but fact is, we've been playing pickleball for 3 years, and we've made way more money than he did in tennis in 6 years, and we've been playing for 3. We've been legit for probably a year and a half. And and it's only getting better. Like these tours, the sponsorships, the brand recognition, the brands that are trying to come into the sport and see this as such an amazing platform, it's legit. Like come now, or you're going to be too late for this, because
and I think that's
it's just
where
going to
the
get harder.
aspirational value is.
Yeah.
Right. That's where the aspirational value for a kid coming from a small town in India is. For a parent who wants to see their child successful, is that even though it's a sport at such a nascent stage, you can still go out there, be successful, and earn a decent living for you and your family.
Yeah,
sure.
And whether it's, by competing, or whether it's by coaching and competing, or whether you become a social media influencer in pickleball, like there's so many different avenues here that, yes, it doesn't maybe seem like the mainstream traditional style. We've talked about traditional sports, but it might not be considered the traditional job either, but it's totally available to anybody. It is at your fingertips right now, and the possibilities are endless.
So one last question that I'll end with, guys, is that a lot of people are saying, and I don't believe that, but I hear a lot of people saying that pickleball is a sport for the Gen Z because they're supposed to be the lazy generation. What do you guys think about that?
They haven't played pickleball singles yet.
I mean, honestly, like, let's be very clear. You can play pickleball lazy, for sure. I mean, like, okay, so what? We are touching on a generation that wants to maybe not work as hard, if that's what they're saying. But honestly, it's just so inclusive. I've seen business people come out that are just not very athletic, but they come out and they feel there's competitive juices flying, and they start getting to play a game of pickleball, and they love it. We've played with NFL football players in pickleball, and they could have not loved it more. ice hockey players in America right now in the off season are playing pickleball. Are you telling me that they're lazy and that's why they're playing it? No, because they want a competitive outlet. They want to be athletic. They want to sweat and get a workout. And that's part of their workouts, their cardio workout. So there's many different ways of being able to play this sport. And yes, it's not, you don't have to be ultra fit for it, but you can also still get a really good workout when you are still ultra fit and a marathon runner or a NFL football player. I think it's just for everybody. It's literally a sport for everybody.
Thanks for showing up, guys. It was great having you guys here as well. And stay tuned for more podcasts. Stay tuned for more updates from our side. Thank you. Until next time. Julio?